Well, hello, friends, and welcome to the From Busy to Rich podcast. This podcast exists to inspire advisors like you to increase your profitability and, probably more importantly, the quality of your life, but not just for yourself, for those that you serve. And I am joined, of course, by Mr. Wes Young, who is on vacay, so he's dialing in from the beach, not the actual beach, but how close are you to the beach today, Wes?
I am pretty close, Sandy. I'm looking at it out.
Can I hear the whoosh in the background? Are you?
Could if I opened up these doors. It's just right there. We're at Miramar Beach in Florida. Got the whole young clan here. My mom and dad, Jamie's dad and girlfriend. I got aunts, uncles. The kids are here. They brought friends. We basically, it's like a kitchen extravaganza every night where we are feeding like 25 people. So it is.
Yeah. There's some systems. There's some systems that are in place and they're working overtime.
That's it.
Assembly line action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know when people are going to listen to this one, but just so you know, Happy Independence Day. We are the day before Independence Day.
Yeah. As I get older, I feel like it becomes like National Why I Don't Care About the Royal Family Day or something. You know. It's like, anyway, all the drama there. But yes, it is a time to reflect and be grateful for where we live in the midst of when you have a bad day. I'd still rather have a bad day in this country than most every other country in the world.
Absolutely.
And, it's even different if you live in Texas, because that is a whole nother country inside of our country that has a different level of confidence. Right.
Fun fact, Texas Independence Day is the 2nd, which is also my birthday. So
what date is that?
March the 2nd.
March 2nd.
Yeah, it's Texas Independence Day and my birthday, which I think is so fitting. And listen, Andy, there's guys out there that they don't like to they don't make my birthday a big deal. Don't do anything. I am not that guy.
You are making a big deal.
Birthday month. So you guys, March comes around, send me gifts, letters, kind things. I will celebrate with you. It's an amazing time. So March 2nd, put it on the calendars, ladies and gentlemen. Wes's birthday and Texas Independence Day.
Awesome. We can't go the full hour on Texas independence, but could you maybe define? Well, we could. I don't want to.
It's really not the role of the podcast, though.
Probably not. So but is there a 30-second answer to what is Texas Independence Day?
And it'd be insulting to give you a 30-second answer.
That's such a Texas answer.
Podcast episode.
Such a Texas answer. Have you seen the movie Civil War?
I have not.
There's a newer movie about Civil War, and it's about a modern day Civil War in America, like now. And Texas and California pair up as part of the Western Front because they're the two biggest powers on the West Coast, which is the only reason Texas and California would ever combine. But it made me think, that's probably something Wes would do. Yeah, he'd probably team up. And anyway, so Wes, we're going to talk about the 4 levels of delegation. And I think this is one of the principles, the frameworks that people can operate in every day. So this is not a one you're going to tuck away and use someday. This is a one that you're going to sort of, if it was a tattoo, it would be on your wrist and you would see it all the time. Right.
Yep.
This is an ongoing formula of, eat 3 meals a day, get 8 hours of sleep, and then also delegate this way. You cannot become the business owner you want to become, the person you want to become, have the business you want to have without doing this. So where did you learn about it? And then let's start walking through them.
Yeah. So there is a pastor at North Point Community Church, Gavin, and he did a talk on this at an event I was at. And Andy, it's one of those things that is so simple, but so powerful because it wraps language around things I think we often wrestle with, because we use this word delegation and we say, you should delegate.
Yep.
What is it? But that can be, do I dump and run? Because I'm going to tell you, if you hire your first assistant, what most people do is they say, here's all the stuff. I'm out. I'm running.
Yep.
Or do you delegate and check in? Do you what does it mean? And so he had this talk, the 4 levels of delegation. And we've internalized this as a team, and so that you have a common language when you're talking about what kind of delegation this is, and how much essentially rope someone gets in things that you delegate to them to be able to explore and go. So it just cleans up this idea, because delegation, I mean, it's a word that means, it's the same word. It just means very different things to people. And most
100%.
people don't know from what it means.
And I think of a word like friendship. Well, like there's friends that I would call at, 2 a.m. and they'd pick up the phone. There's that kind of friend. And then there's, the dad of the kid that I, coached in Little League 6 years ago. He's my friend. Right. Yeah. So, but delegation is, well, just delegate it. And the problem with that is, the default delegation is, I think, the one you mentioned, which is, well, delegation means I just give them things to do and I walk away and I come back and they're done. Yeah. It's awesome. Right. So what are the levels? How do you split this up?
I'll give you the levels like real quick, and then we're going to dive into each one and give specific examples. So 4 levels of delegation. Level 1 is information. Level 2 is informed progress. Level 3 is informed results. And level 4 is ownership. And so just to back into this, Andy, so level 1, information. So this is like where it is the lowest level of delegation, meaning that it has the least amount of rope. And what you're doing is you're asking someone, I need this kind of information. So let me give an example. When Cheryl Green, who's been my now many years operations director, when she first started working with this, one is you really don't know someone's capability. You don't know how they dance with you yet. So one of the things that happened is, gosh, this has been over a decade ago, I guess, actually, when we were looking to have to either renew our lease. We were in the general office of the storage company, or go get our own place, or I had an idea of maybe we go remote. Which is obviously the path we ended up choosing. But here's the point is, I said, Cheryl, I need you to go get us some information. I need you to go to find out what is available out in the marketplace that we could go lease, buy. What is the if we were to stay here, the cost, how would we want to do it? Let's just go find me information. So all of us the basic level of that is, I'm not asking you to do anything with it. All I'm asking you is go get me data, bring it back to me. Let's talk about it.
Information.
So here's what good people do. Good people bring me back the information that you asked for. And they say, and some things I thought about in addition to that were this.
Okay.
And honestly, it's one of those things that if they're doing that, if they're intuitive enough not to just go do the job, they're intuitive enough to go, hey, I brought you this. Here's what I was thinking about it. And they give you their reasoning, their thinking around things. Because Cheryl was like, hey, look, we could get this one place, or we could get one that's twice the size, which we don't need, but we can lease it out. It actually may pay for the other side. Now we ended up not doing it, but I thought that's really cool. She thinks for herself, not just going and monotonously checking the boxes. She actually gets it done. So all of us, and if you're a person that's new to an organization listening to this, we have Lauren, our intern right now, and Lauren is a next level thinker. You give her something to do, she gets it done, but she also comes back with context around, hey, here's other things I thought about. So anytime and listen, if you're starting a role, and it's just, you're going to have some level 1 delegation that you get, and understand, do that role well, but come back with, hey, and here's some other things I thought about that may be helpful. Give you some forethought about it. So it's a great way for a new person to grow. And it's also something that level 1 delegation leaders and people in your organization, you need to have that so you can see how one dances in the beginning. It's just generally one of those things.
Let me ask this. If you know someone's good and you just give them the information let me ask a different question. You give it to someone and they come back with just exactly what you asked them. Do they fail? If they say, hey, I just want you to go look that up.
No, definitely don't fail. Because at least they satisfied the requirement. They did it. It doesn't wow you because they did what you said. I mean, that's the minimum expectation in a role, is do the thing that we've set out as the standard. And then you can test these other kinds of delegation to see, do they, and honestly work with them. Say, hey, one of the cool things is, what did you think about this?
Yeah.
Because people are just, everybody's wired differently. So just because someone's not naturally saying, hey, and I thought about these things, you tell them, you say, hey, and when you go get that information for me, if you see other ideas, if you see other options, give me your thoughts. Like, how else might you do this? Because some people need that freedom of purpose to be able to think about, hey, I have a role here. What can do other things?
That's a great point, because I think that there are people that, and I would say this is most, they're coming from a job where it was like, just do what you're told. And I had friends working for me once, and they were just like, well, I just didn't know I could do that. I'm like, why would you do that? They're like, well, where I worked, like, I had a person working here once, and they asked me how much coffee they could have. You're laughing, but to them, they were like, well, we got in trouble at our last job because we drank too much coffee. And then they just stopped providing coffee. We had to bring our own coffee pods in. So you got these people like, looking around, and they had their own Keurig pods in their pocket.
Oh, that is awesome. That is so fun.
But what was that job? They filled out medical forms, or they processed medical forms or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was
not with shaky hands. They didn't, because they didn't have enough coffee. I can promise you that.
But you just go, listen, that's why. Sometimes you have to say, hey, go get this information. And if you see anything else, let me know.
Yeah. Give them the freedom to, because things, man, I'll tell you what, and this is true of anybody that's operating at an elite level in any area, which you can go through and you the things that you're doing at an elite level have become so intuitive and so muscle memory. You assume everybody else just knows them. So great point that you brought up, to give them the freedom to say, hey, I want you to go get this information. And here's the deal. I want you to intuitively think about, do you see what are your ideas around this? What do you think about it? Because that's intuitive to me and intuitive to you and many of our listeners, but it may not be, because maybe they didn't get the permission, like you said, or maybe it's just, they're like, I want to do a great job. He told me to get this. I'm going to do it. But if you tell them, and I want you to think critically around it.
Yeah. I've run into a problem though, Wes, if you can answer this concern. Actually, this was the same person, and they took way too long. They went way too in depth into issues. What I found was, it wasn't because they were slow. It's because they were they were too thorough, where it was like, listen, this is not a 4-hour project. This is like a 1-hour project. Like the difference between the 1 hour and 4 hours on this is not that different. So I just need an hour's work. So do you ever go, hey, is that just, do you ever say this should take this long? Do you ever say, get back to me next week instead of next month? I mean, how do you?
Well, this is probably even a whole separate podcast, Andy, that I'm actually have thought a lot about, but is making sure everyone has a clear standard of expectation. So on things like that, because there are, like, I mean, we do extensive things, the Colby, the, Working Genius, those kind of things. Right. People are what we call long red lines. Many of you that are listening right now, you've been through Transform, our class, and we talk a lot about this stuff. Long red line just simply means you can never have enough data. You can never get another. You just need more. You want more. Some things just don't deserve your long red line. Some things, half of it, and sometimes it's like a quarter of it. And so, what ends up occurring in this is, and you learn this, like, again, it's intuitive or not. And so you help people learn that if it's not, but it's saying, hey, my expectation on this is go do this. And in the beginning, again, if it's a new relationship, you may have to say, and I'd like to have everything, and we can talk about it next week at this same time.
Right.
So there is a deadline that allows them to engage in that. And then, if they don't adhere to something that's clear, then you probably need to make a change. But most people, what I find is just establishing the standard of clarity around here's when I expect this and what I expect when I get it, and kind of some things for you to just think around. That's an amazing thing.
All right, let's keep moving to the different levels. What's next?
Yep. So level 2 is informed progress. What this one is when I say, Andy, listen, we have this project, we have this objective, we have this goal, this thing we're trying to do, and I'd like you to lead it. and go ahead and push it forward. And what I'd like to do is every week, let's meet and talk about how it's going, talk about where you're at in the progression of this. What contrasts this a little bit is the third level. Now, I think we can talk about them both in tandem here. Is level 3 is informed results. So level 3 is I come to you and say, Andy, we have this project, we have this goal, we have this thing. I don't want to be kept up to date. If you need me, certainly ask me and call me, whatever you think you need. I just want to know when it's done. And again, making sure expectations are clear. And if I don't hear from you in a couple months, that's not good. So I expect it done somewhere in there. So difference being just there are some projects, and especially when you're, again, new in your relationship, even with really good people, you're learning each other, and the things again that are intuitive me are not necessarily intuitive you, and vice versa. So sometimes early in the relationship, as you're determining how much rope you're capable of giving someone on something, you're saying, hey, let's just talk about it once a week. Keep me posted on how you're doing. Yeah. That way, you know, a month into this thing, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you got stuck 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you come to me?
Yeah.
You know,
and then you're mad at them. Or frustrated with them, I should say. Maybe you're not mad, but you're frustrated. But they didn't know. They didn't know. Oh, I was supposed to check in because and we don't spoil the love for you. But there's such a big difference between just give me information and then I'll make the decision to inform progress. Tell me how things are going. So it's the difference between informed progress and informed results. That who's responsible for the results? Like, tell me the difference between the 2 and the 3 when it comes to progress and results. Maybe an example.
Well, progress is simply, Andy, this is what you asked me to, here's our goal, here's our objective, here's the project. You asked me to move it forward. Where we're at in it right now is at this point, we're waiting on some information, some person to do something. And here's my next step. Here's what we're taking next. And here's what I'm going to do if we don't hear back from them. That's some version of that, right? Informed results is like, I don't want to hear anything about how it's going. I don't want you to, we don't even talk about that stuff. What you do is come to me and say, hey, by the way, Andy, that project that I come to you, that project we were working on, that's complete. Do you want to hear any other information about it?
Right.
And that's it. So I'll give you a good example. In my office, Kara, who runs all of our service, new business, Enforce stuff, when we open a project to her, so let's say a client needs to put in place a large life insurance contract. And so we've already agreed, the client and I, we shoot her the meeting notes. This is what needs to be done. Here's exactly what we need. Depending on, and Kara, we've just worked together for so many years now. She knows this intuitively, but there's very few things I even want informed progress on. Mm-hmm. I just know it's going to get done. Now, if too much time goes by and it's not done, she already knows to tell me, hey, here's why this is taking too long,
right, and
what's going on with it. But some of the larger, more complicated ones, I will let her know, hey, this is a level 2. I really do want to be kept up to date on how this is progressing, because it's big enough to where if I don't want any weeks to go by that if I observe something that's not going well, I can jump in there and help you. Not because I don't trust her, because I implicitly trust her. I just want to give her the extra help she needs to move those bigger deals forward. So that's a great example of, and when you have if you've not hired that person in your organization, one, that is the hire to make, like that person that's processing all your business, like you should not be doing that yourself. Early on, you're going to want informed progress. What I would tell you is you should have a conversation in the beginning with your team. This is level 2 delegation right now. Here's the cadence of our check-in, so I can make sure that we, learn each other and can move things forward. Eventually, most of this stuff, I just want to move it to level 3, where it's informed results. Let me know when it's done. And some things,
but there's a level of maturity and trust that has to be in place.
Sure.
I think that there's also a style of leadership, and this is maybe the tension I'd like for you to talk about a little bit. There's a personality. There's a kind of leader that will say, "I just want to know what happens." But then when you do that, they can sometimes go, "Yeah, we shouldn't have done it that way." And you're like, "Wait a minute. I thought you wanted results, not."
Yeah.
So that's where you can create tension as a leader is if you tell someone, I won't use a work example. I'll use maybe a home example. If my wife says, I want you to reorganize the garage, I go, okay. And I do it. And then she says, I don't like how you reorganize the garage. I'm like, well, then we were off on what did we think about delegate? I thought you just said we want to do it. No, she wanted more of an informed progress, right? Where it was like, stop, check, stop, check, stop, check. And the problem is the employee they worked really hard and they made decisions, and they can feel really undercut if they feel like I'm done, I did a good job, and the person comes in and says, yeah, we're going to change all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Andy, I love that. And I love the example. And I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit trail, but my wife is, she's an acts of service. That's her love language. If you've ever read the 5 love languages, which maybe we do a whole podcast on that because it's really important. But, and so, I'm a words of affirmation guy. And so, tell me that I've done a good job. Tell me, hey, appreciate you, love you. I love that stuff. Jamie could care less about any of that. She's like, I have something I want done, do it. And then that's how she feels love. Yeah. So if she said, Wes, I want you to reorganize the garage, couple things I would do. One is, and this has actually happened in our lives, I get a crew to reorganize the garage because I have no tenacity and enablement. I can do it if I need to, but like on the Working Genius. And but again, back to your goal is she just said she wanted me to reorganize the garage. I did reorganize the garage. I just use other people for it.
Sure.
And so it was a form of delegating things that you're not great at, don't have high energy for.
There's actually another interesting wrinkle to this, right? Is that it doesn't, with certain situations, it doesn't mean I need you to do it. I need you to get it done.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And hey, how powerful is that? I mean, we talk about the Working Genius here all the time. Listen, there are times where you have to work outside of your genius, and you can, and you need to, but if it's something that you can use other people to get it done who actually have that in them, that they can, they get excited about it, it lights them up. Why wouldn't you want to utilize that thing? So it's not always I have to go do this. In fact, again, as we've grown as a team, one of my biggest roles these days, Andy, is to remind our team, hey, you have a team of 12 people that you get to utilize to help us accomplish this. So when I tell you we need to do this, that doesn't mean you need to go physically do it. Utilize the talent that we have on the team. And it's one of those things that's just, again, not intuitive if you haven't done it a bunch. So level 2 and level 3 are critical, but here's the deal. Teach this to your team. Like say, what is this? Is this a level 2? Is this a level 3? Do you want informed progress? Do you want informed results? Tell me what you want. Or is this information? What is it? The great news is it's like everybody's clear. And they're like, well, I didn't think you wanted to know about that. And in advance, you'll go, yeah, I don't. This is like total level 3. Tell me when it's done. I don't care about the process. Some things.
It's funny that can actually be frustrating to a leader who says, I just wanted to know when it's done, versus like coming and saying, hey, this is going on. You're like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but like, don't care. I don't care. I just wanted to, like I asked my daughter, my youngest daughter is one is in charge of cutting grass at our house. She's 12. I don't need her to stop halfway through and call me at work and go, Dad, I'm halfway done.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Why'd you stop to call me? Just keep going. Great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, so we, our team has grown significantly, and we have a lot of new team members, and everyone wants to do a good job. And I will tell you, the number one thing that we learned is talking through these levels of delegation is so incredibly important, because they will keep me overly informed on things. Yeah. I'm like, guys, I don't want to, which brings me to the last one, Andy. The last one is last level, the 4th level of delegation is ownership. And so this is not, I don't want any information. I don't want informed progress. I don't want to even know when it's done. I just expect it to go well. So the funniest example I ever heard of this is he gave it at a church. He's like security and childcare at the church. Like, I don't I just assume it's going to go well. I assume you've taken care of business and like we don't lose any kids. Nobody's taken, there's things like that. He said, and I hope it's so done so well that I'm not even aware of it. I just know you're taking care of it. So I'll give you one of those things is licensing for us. And, we do business all across the country. So we're licensed in basically every state. And every state has their own CE, continuing education, do the test you have to
take. So
take.
How much do you know about licensing?
Zero. I know when Cheryl tells me you need to take this by this date or you will not be licensed in this state. And that rhymed. So I would just want you to know that. That was like a poetic thing just came to me right there.
It just pours out of you, bro. It just pours out of you.
I'm like, Tupac rapper. It just I can now. That is the
person I think of most often when I think of you.
Yes, Wes. I do like Tupac. I think he was a genius. By the way,
he was.
But I will. But it's true, and it's like Cheryl. The only time you'll become aware of level 4 ownership is when somebody messes it up. And when the day I go to do an application and I'm not licensed in the state that I need to do an application, right?
Right.
Or the Kara goes to do the application, I should say, because I'm not doing those either. But it's that's a problem. So what things but here's the thing, Andy, and this is big with a team, and because you have to celebrate it. Because here's what happens: what gets rewarded gets repeated, and sometimes level 4 people are like, Wes, you don't even know the half of what goes on. Like my team has told me this a lot of time, behind the scenes every day, the things that I have to do this job. And I say, you know what? You know how beautiful that is? Because if I did, you would be the wrong person for this job. Because I want people that are going to own it. And I said, hey, good news is you don't know the half of my job and the stuff I have to do. Because if I made you aware of it, it would be irrelevant and it's not helpful. I said, now, does everyone when you celebrated and they worked hard, they did a bunch of cool stuff? And that's where you have to sometimes take the time to say, hey, here's all the areas that I so appreciate about that I know nothing about that you take care of for me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you do that makes you so valuable to our team and to our organization.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's so healthy about what you're talking about at that level is when you can truly get to the point where you can build someone up, train someone, or hire someone that has this ability that, and you don't know it until you have it, which is that the lightening of your mental load, right? Or our brains are like computers in that we have RAM, random access memory. It's how many windows can you have open at the same time on your computer? At some point it slows down.
Right.
It's the same thing. How many things are on your mind? And we really can reach this level of ownership level. And not all things should go to ownership, but there are. What's that?
I said, you don't want all things ownership for sure.
Well, unless you want to give away ownership, unless you want to, there's delegation and then, and the word is escaping me, abdication. To abdicate. And it happens every few years where there's some random country and the king will abdicate his throne or the queen will abdicate her throne. And what that means is I'm giving you the power. I don't have power anymore. I can't get it back. Right. Yeah. There's very rarely you want to do that. Right.
Yeah. I think, and this is not just a business thing, Andy. This is a at home thing, with all the relationships you have. The thing about, here's what I think the biggest thing about ownership is one, if you're granted it, just understand you have so built trust and credibility with the person that's granting you that ownership. Two is you're probably not going to hear about it a lot. And that should be the thing that you celebrate, because if you own it, it doesn't have to be on the leader's mind that you've taken that from.
Yeah.
If you're the leader, and all of us in different areas of our lives have delegated ownership of something, whether you use those terms or not, take the time today to write out, where have I given ownership of other things to people that I just need to go tell them thank you. Because honestly, Andy, it is one of those things that if it's going well, you just don't talk about it that much. Yeah. So So to be able to say, hey, you know how grateful I am that I don't have to worry about this particular area of the operation because you do it so well. The only time I would know about it is if there's a problem, and there's never a problem. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Well, and I want to encourage folks who are listening, take these down: information, informed progress, informed results, ownership. Think about the tasks that you have delegated, that you want to delegate, figure out where they need to fit on the scale or the level, and have a conversation. This is very important, Wes said earlier. Have a conversation with your staff, even if that's a staff of one, and say, hey, every time I ask you to do something, I need you to ask me, what level are we talking about? Right?
Love that. Love that.
Delegate the tracking of delegation or identifying the level, because you may not know, and they might say, information, and you go, well, let me do some informed progress on this one, or let me just trust me with some informed results.
Absolutely.
And I would suggest that it's likely that the levels are not clear with all these tasks you delegated. They're all sort of just delegated, and that you're probably not giving them enough. Like, you're not giving them a higher enough level. You're treating everything like, well, just give me more information. And you could have less of a mental load and a healthier business and a healthier mindset if you gave away some things and said, I'm going to give you a level 2 of this. I'm going to give you a level 3. And yes, for some of these, I'm going to give you a level 4. And then it's completely off my mind. That's people want to feel needed. They want to do a good job for you. So to do that with them, and I think that it will bless everyone involved. Wes, I'll give you the last word.
Hey, happy 4th of July in reverse. I know you'll be listening to this after. I hope you had a great one. And man, this is so simple, but nobody does it regularly. And I'm so glad we talked about it, because it's given me new insight in life as to how we're going to use this in our organization. I'm going to be recording a series of shorts on each of the levels, and we'll figure out a way to make those available to our podcast listeners, to where if someone's new to your organization, you can just have them listen to this episode. It's pretty good to say, this is our 4 levels of delegation. And then the shorts are, here's what this one means again. So you don't have to explain it to them every time. If you're talking, you just go click it and you listen, and that's it.
Thank you, Wes. Appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy.